Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, September 20th, 2022, and this is the second hearing this month for the City of Tempe hearing officer. My name is Vanessa McDonald. I'll be hearing the cases this afternoon. I want to read something briefly into the record, and then we can go ahead and jump into our brief agenda this afternoon. The City of Tempe hearing officer is authorized by Arizona Revised Statutes and the City of Tempe Zoning and Development Code. The hearing officer has the duty to carry out the provisions and the intent of the Zoning and Development Code and the Tempe City Code. The hearing officer is granted the authority to conduct public hearings to decide upon the abatement of code violations occurring on properties within the City of Tempe. These violations include, but aren't limited to, deteriorated landscaping, inoperable vehicles, deteriorated structures, storage of junk or refuse, or deteriorated swimming pools. Abatement actions are brought before the hearing officer by the city's Code Compliance Division, typically after numerous attempts at contacting the property owner to obtain voluntary compliance with the code. The hearing officer may issue an order directing the owner, occupant, rental agent, property manager, or other responsible person to remediate a code violation or authorize the city to abate the property to correct the violation. The cost of the abatement is the responsibility of the owner of the property where the violation occurs and may be collected as an assessment against the property found to be in violation. On today's agenda, we have 3 items. The agenda now differs from the agenda that was previously published. We have a set of minutes from September 6th, 2022, and we have 2 property abatements. Agenda items number 2 and 5 have been brought into compliance by the property owner, so we're no longer going to hear those cases this afternoon. Any property owner who is aggrieved by a decision of the hearing officer may file an appeal within 14 calendar days after the hearing officer has made a decision. As such, the deadline for appealing any decision rendered today is 3 p.m. on October 4th, 2022. Abatement appeals are heard by the Board of Adjustment, after which they also may be appealed to the Superior Court. The property owner has 14 days to either file an appeal or bring the property into code compliance. If neither of these things happen within this 14-day window, the property will be abated by the city. Joining me this afternoon from Community Development to my left are Cassidy Hernandez and Drew Yoakum. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all your help putting the meeting together. So the first item on our agenda this afternoon is the consideration of meeting minutes from September 6th, 2022. I had a chance to review the minutes as Cassidy sent them to me, and I believe that they accurately reflect what took place at that hearing. So I'm going to approve the minutes from September 6th, 2022. As previously mentioned, the agenda item number 2 has been brought into compliance, so we're going to go ahead and move to agenda item number 3. This is a request to abate public nuisance items at the Felix 315 property located at 315 East Broadway Road. The applicant is the City of Tempe, represented this afternoon by Code Inspector Hector Heredia. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for having me. As stated, my name is Hector Heredia, last name spelled Heredia, and I am a Code Compliance Inspector with the City of Tempe Code Compliance Division. I'm here this evening to request a one-time abatement for the property located at 315 East Broadway in the City of Tempe, 85282, to clear the pending violation. The case was initiated on March 22nd, of 2022 for a deteriorated overgrown palm tree on the front yard. Since the case was initiated, anonymous complaints have been filed regarding the deteriorated state of the location. I have only had minor communication with the property owner that did not continue after citation was imposed. These are my findings as the case began. So back on 3/22/22, Code Compliance Division received an anonymous complaint regarding an overgrown palm tree in the front yard, as well as dead palm fronds on the floor of the front yard. These concerns were then verified, and a first notice was mailed to the property owner, Miss Dixie Felix. On 4/6/22, at the second inspection, no corrective action had taken place, and a final notice was mailed to the property owner. Roughly 18 or 14 days later, oh, excuse me, on 4/22/22, I got sidetracked. An extension was requested and granted due to financial issues that were brought to our attention by the property owner due to pandemic scheduling, and also limited health and limited family assistance. But roughly about a couple weeks later, on 5/4/22, at this inspection, no correction action had taken place, nor communication furthered or dialogue continued. Additional anonymous complaints were received regarding the deteriorated state of the overgrown palm tree and its fronds, and a first citation was issued to the property owner for not bringing the property into compliance. A short time later, on 6/30/22, the property owner pled responsible and admitted that the violation was still pending. So,
Did she plead that in municipal court?
yes,
Okay.
this was in front of the City of Tempe court judge, and was found responsible.
Okay.
So roughly about a month and a half later, on 8/3, after no corrective action had taken place, citation issued, and numerous anonymous complaints filed, the packet was turned in for the September uh, 20th, abatement hearing, which is tonight. At this point, I would like to present photos taken today at 10:45 a.m. of the current state of the trees that are in question. Both these trees here are easily visible from public access or public right-of-way and access points being Broadway Road. You can see here that the palm fronds extend further than the 5 required feet from the lowest living frond. This is a close-up photo of those deteriorated, overgrown palm fronds. And this is the final tree that is hidden behind a garage that can clearly be seen as overgrown and non-maintained or treated.
Okay, a couple of questions. In this photograph, what's the deal with that car? That's
The
an
ve-
inoperable vehicle, right?
Correct. The vehicle became into question after the car cover was blown off, and we were already too late in the process pertaining to the overgrown palm fronds and could not be added to the case. That will be separately addressed at a different
Okay.
time.
So you can't, like, I understand you're asking, you made a point to say it was a one-time abatement, not a 180-day open abatement.
Correct. It is a one-time request because the fronds will not grow back to an overexceeded or lowering height in a 8 or 6 month period. So it would be useless to ask or grant a 180-day period when the project is going to be a one-time deal.
Okay. Because I look at these photographs, and to me, this is a property in disrepair, and it could use a whole cleanup and not just the 2 palm trees contained in the abatement. You know, in this picture that we have in front of us, there's, you know, grass that's pretty tall. So I guess my question to staff, to you, Mr. Yocum, is do I have the authority to expand an abatement to include a 180-day open abatement? Mr. Heredia could follow the process of communication with the property owner, but it wouldn't have to be brought back to a hearing because it would be under the umbrella of a 180-day open abatement?
Sure. Great question, Madam Hearing Officer, and I appreciate that. So at this time, I can actually speak for Mr. Heredia and the code compliance staff. And to your point, I think it's appropriate for us to make that request now for a 180-day open abatement.
Okay,
And we will add that to the record, including the minutes as well as the record moving forward. So if you want to approve that, that's up to you at this time.
okay, thank you. I think I would like to include that, to expand your request to 180 days so that you have the tools that you need to get this property cleaned up. I understand you'll need to communicate with the property owner, and there is that process, but I think it could shorten the window within which you would have to abate the property. So I'm going to include that as part of the record. Thank you for your presentation on this case. I know you're here for the next one as well, but I wanted to ask Mr. Yoakum, do we have anyone on the line wanting to speak on this issue?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, and I'll note for the record, there's no one here in the chamber wanting to speak on agenda item number 3. So based on the the photographic evidence I'm shown this afternoon and the overall state of the property, I am going to be granting a 180-day open abatement for this property located at 315 East Broadway Road and contained in application CE 221913.
Thank you very much for the considerate revision. I do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And don't sit down because we're now to agenda item number 4, which is a request for approval of abatement of public nuisance items at the Felix 321 property. This property is located also on Broadway Road at 321 East. Applicant is the City of Tempe, and again represented by Hector Heredia.
As previously stated, good afternoon, Hearing Officer McDonald. My name is Hector Heredia, last name spelled Heredia, and I am a Code Compliance Inspector with the City of Tempe Code Compliance Division. I am here this evening to request a one-time abatement for the property located at 321 East Broadway Road within the jurisdiction of the City of Tempe, 85282, to clear the pending violation. This case was initiated back in November 17 of 2021 for a deteriorated landscape and a dead tree/stump on the front yard. Since the case was initiated, anonymous complaints have also been filed regarding the deteriorated state of the location. I have only had minor communication with the property owner, which then stopped after penalty was imposed. These are my findings as I was going through the process. On 11/17/2021, the Code Compliance Division received an anonymous complaint regarding a deteriorated landscape and including a dead tree/stump on the front yard visible from public access points. These concerns were then verified and a first notice was mailed to the property owner, Ms. Dixie Felix. On 12/6/2021, at the second inspection, no corrective action had taken place and the final notice was issued to the property owner. On 12/27/21, an extension was requested due to financial issues brought forth by the pandemic and ongoing health concerns. On 4/4/2022, the property owner stopped all communication efforts and had not brought the property into compliance. A final attempt was made to reach the property owner before a citation would be issued. But on 4/11 on 2021, the first citation was issued to the property owner for not bringing the property into compliance. A couple months later, on 6/14/2022, the property owner pled guilty and admitted that the violation was still pending. On 8/3/2022, the abatement package was turned in for the September 20th hearing officer after the property could not be brought into compliance. At this point, I would like to present the most current photos taken today at 10:40 a.m. of the existing violations. Here is the dead tree that has been that has been trimmed of all its dead limbs, but has not been eliminated from the front yard at the base to take away the deteriorated tree. You can see that it's completely dead from top to bottom, bottom to top, and needs to be addressed. On the side of the house, right behind that dead tree, as you can see in this photo here, in this area, is a close shot of the efforts taken to eliminate all dead branches or limbs, properly stacked outside of the location, but not being tended to or eliminated, discarded properly in city bins or dump sites. The dead landscaping material still is present across the entire front yard, but our concern is here that the dead tree has not been taken down. At this point, I would like to request a one-time abatement for the location at 321 East Broadway Road to completely eliminate the remaining portion of the dead tree and its debris that is located on the front side yard of the property.
Okay, thank you. First of all, let me just say, I think you've been really, really generous with this property owner. I mean, the previous case, same property owner, goes back 6 months, and this one goes back 10 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, clearly you've tried working with the property owner to try and get her to bring this property into compliance as well as the other one. I think I'd like to do what I did in the previous case and give you the 180-day open abatement, because if I'm not mistaken, have we abated these properties before?
These properties may have been abated in the past, but not under my personal
Okay.
supervision. I am the current primary inspector in that area, which recently turned over roughly two and a half years ago. So as of that point, I have been actively working that zone.
Okay, because I've been at this a long time now. So I kind of remember when we have frequent flyers. So again, Mr. Yocum, do we have anyone on the line wanting to speak on this agenda item?
No, Madam Hearing Officer.
Thank you. And again, I'll note for the record, we don't have anyone here in the chamber wanting to speak on this item. So given the state of the property is in the previous case, and I'm going to go ahead and do what I did in that case and give you a 180-day open abatement so that you can, again, work with the property owner, see if they can clean it up, or just continue the cleanup efforts.
Okay.
So again, I'm going to approve a 180-day open abatement for the Felix 321 property located at 321 East Broadway Road, contained in case CE 217033. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and consideration. Thank you.
So that concludes our agenda this afternoon. As I previously mentioned, items number 2 and 5 are in compliance now. So Mr. Yocum, do we have any announcements?
Yes, Madam Hearing Officer. Just in tandem with your comments, I just want to make it clear that as Code Compliance Administrator, we will amend our request for a 180-day open abatement for agenda item number 4,
Okay.
located at 321 East Broadway Road. I appreciate that approval. The only other item that I have is our next usually scheduled meeting is going to be in the first of the month in October. That's been canceled in observance of a religious holiday. So our next scheduled hearing officer meeting is actually Wednesday, October 19th. That will be at 5 p.m. That will be here in the Tempe City Council chambers as well as live on Tempe 11.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can send me a reminder letting me know not to come and then to come on a Wednesday. So thank you very much for your time this afternoon. We're adjourned.